The origin of the breakbeat in hip-hop, it comes from, the earliest finding of the breakbeat, and it's a well-known story about DJ Kool Herc in 1973 through a block party. And he did this technique of placing two identical records and finding the certain part of a James Brown record where it was just the drums. And he would loop the drums on one vinyl, and then as soon as that would finish, he would switch to the second and have it synced up on the second, and then when that would finish, he would have it synced up back on the first, and it would create a constant loop, which would just be the drums, which basically became the foundation of what MCs, just the sound of hip-hop started from the breakbeat. And block parties, used to just started from that, just with no vocals, just breakbeats. And then soon after that, the MC came involved, who would just control the crowd and get the crowd hyped up, and make them feel that, they're in a certain space where, a certain vibe needs to be projected. An MC's job is to keep everyone, there to have a good time and, just to feel that togetherness that someone's leading them. So, that is the earliest finding of the breakbeat. And obviously, hip-hop has so many origins because sampling-wise, it comes from all over. Breakbeats come from funk and soul and so many other genres.
Then 90s, they jumped into the jazz completely.
From 1973, obviously, things grew from the breakbeat. But that original live aspect of a DJ being able to, shift between finding just the drum pattern in an identical record and going back and forth, that was like the earliest memory, I guess, they say of, the birth of hip hop, which was from DJ Kool Herc. The word beat in hip hop terminology also means backing track and instrumental, which when I say, yo, Heem, do you have a beat? Do you have a beat for me? It means, do you have a song which is just, with no vocals and, it's a foundation for the track. So beat in hip hop terminology can be the backing track, the minus one, an instrumental. I think any DJ Premier beat or Dr. Dre beats,
I more listen this Alchemist, The
Alchemist,
Ninth Wonder.
Yeah, so I mean, we just mentioned, prominent 90s producers, which comes from the era of boom bap, which is strictly
old school boom bap.
Kick snares, dirty hi-hats, that crunchy sound, that hip-hop was kind of built off, they call it the renaissance of hip-hop, the golden age, the golden era of hip-hop, late 80s, early 90s. So those guys, I mean, guys like Premier and Dr. Dre are still around, making hits and huge records. But I think for us, growing up in the 2000s, and you're a little bit older than me, but I mean, for me, I grew up studying 90s, and even in university, I studied, how a DJ Premier would sample his records. And I think it kind of gives you that raw feel. The raw essence of hip hop does not need overproduction and, so much electronic.
Completely raw. You don't need to mix and master much, but it's just like completely raw file.
I think our favorite beats, I think Shook One's Part 2, is a phenomenal beat.
Mine is my favorite is The World Is Yours.
The World Is Yours.
Nas, and the producer was Petrock.
Yeah, I think any DJ Premier beat with Biggie, Kick in the Door, and Unbelievable.
So I think old school, me and Sharul were more into the old school beats, which consist. So beats के भी अपने बहुत सारे genres है. Boom bap.
Yeah, boom bap, trap,
trill,
more gangster rap,
grime.
Yeah, crunk, 2000s, and I think every generation has its tastemakers.
Style,
but I mean, the guys that we mentioned right off the bat, even Alchemist works with current guys like Action Bronson and a lot of people. So yeah.
I think Sharul, that's how I started. I started listening old school 90s boom bap and old school beats, and my first track was completely old school. So I think for the new rappers, it's easy to understand old school beats compared to the today's beat, because for me, I'm still into old school. So what do you think about that?
I think for someone starting off, definitely experimenting with famous beats and from big producers is a wise choice. Just for pure practice. We've all done it. We've all done it.
I think this is the great idea for the new rappers. अगर तुम्हारे पास producer नहीं है और तुम्हें लगता है कि तुम्हें producer नहीं मिल रहा, DJ Premier, The Alchemist, Dr. Dre,
Timbaland,
इनकी beats उठाओ इंटरनेट में से और track बनाओ. Beat per minute is the speed of any track. किसी भी track की speed कितनी है वो हमें BPM से बनता है. Especially in hip hop tracks, हर एक track का अपना एक BPM होता है. 90, 80, 70 और 110, 120. तो उनका BPM आपको पता होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. उससे आपको flow में फ़ायदा होता है. आपके लिए flow पकड़ना easy हो जाता है और आपको पता रहता है कि आपका vibe कैसा निकलने वाला है track में से. So what I think, BPM का पता होना बहुत जरूरी है बीट पर मिनट, बिकॉज़ सारा दुनिया का म्यूजिक बीपीएम पे ही बनता है. न्यू रैपर्स के लिए सबसे अच्छा जो इजी बीपीएम होगा आई थिंक 80
और 90 बीपीएम,
बिकॉज़ मैंने भी 80 और 90 से स्टार्ट किया था. 80 और 90 जो बीपीएम है उसमें आप कंफर्टेबली फ्लो कर पाते हो, बट वंस वो बढ़ना चालू होता है तो आपके वोकल्स का भी स्पीड ज़्यादा तेज होना चालू होता है. So if you really want to कैसा इस पे master करना है तो start with it slow, then धीरे-धीरे level up.
Definitely, I agree on 80 to 100 BPM because the original break beat, comes from break beats from jazz and funk being between this range. So the original sound of hip hop with a kick snare and hi hat in a certain rhythm lives within this range of BPMs. So I think 100% between 80 and 100 is a good place to start. BPMs is also relative in terms of doubling. If your track is at 70 BPM, you can technically rap at 140 BPM. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4 for me right now.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I can spit in two ways, like. I spit retarded, bombarded, up beats, retarded. So that's one. That's the double time, and you can go. I wanna right now. So there's two ways you can approach a beat. You can have a double time, and I'm technically whatever that beat was, 70, 80 BPM. I could have either been going 80, which is half time, the current time, or double time, which is 160 or whatever the beat is doubled. So it's a common technique in hip hop. Oh, do you want to go double time? There are rappers who can do quadruple time. If you can rap that fast, I mean, guys like Tech 9 and Busta Rhymes can do those type of things. There's a essence of doubling as well when it comes to certain things. Like for example, on a track like Kone Tu, I knew it as 155 BPM. Because I wanted to go, no holes in my bread, no bagel, shuffle the cash in my hand. I wanted to hear that when I was recording, ta 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 ta, rather than ta 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 ta. The most important thing with BPMs, about doubling with BPMs, is a BPM, a song that's in 70 and 140 is the same thing. It's not that anything's different. It's just the fact that, you're counting it in a certain way. You can count it like ta 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 ta, or you can go ta 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 ta. It's just the way you're counting it, just the way you're approaching it.
So 90 BPM के बीट्स में हमेशा ऐसा होता है कि ब्रीदर्स होते हैं. जब भी आप एक लाइन खत्म करते हो तो आप सांस ले पाते हो. बट जब वो 110 या 120 पहुंचता है, when it's 120, 130, 140, there are less breathers. So आपको अपने जो words होते हैं वो छोटे करने पड़ते हैं.
For someone starting off, I feel 100% a slower BPM will help because you have more space and less, less constraint with slower flows. Because at the end of the day, there are people who do feel comfortable rapping on faster beats but can still get the same point across, whether they can do it on a slower or faster. And I think for someone starting off, 100% a slower BPM, like we mentioned, between 80 and 100, gives you that, that full foundation to kind of, you have more space, you have more pockets for syllables to, to punch in with your words. And, it gives you less of urgency, that it's quick. And obviously you can also go 140 and spit at a 70,
So same
thing.
80 को आप 160 पे लेके जा सकते हो आराम से.
Yeah, so you can.
My writing patterns are same. When I do the old school rap, मैं old school beat पे rap करता हूँ. मैं उसी rap को मैं trap के ऊपर भी कर पाता हूँ, जो उसका double time होता है. So it's all up to like your type of beat you choose for yourself. 90 को आप और पे खींच सकते हो अगर आपका राइटिंग पैटर्न उस पैटर्न पे ठीक से बना हुआ है. ओल्ड स्कूल इसलिए चूज करने के लिए बोल रहे हैं क्योंकि ओल्ड स्कूल में आपको ब्रीदर्स मिलते हैं, स्पेस मिलता है और आपकी आवाज और आपके वर्ड्स सारे क्लियर रहते हैं. आप लोगों तक अपनी बात आराम से पहुंचा सकते हो, आराम से सुन सकते हो. बट जब ट्रैप आता है 110 एंड 120 के बीपीएम्स आते हैं, यू गो फास्ट. और कई बार ऐसा होता है कि लोगों को एक बारी में समझ नहीं आता. यू हैव टू रिपीट द ट्रैक अगेन. सो कॉन्शियस रैप, लाइक यू आर सेइंग, कॉन्शियस रैपर्स मोस्टली जिनको कॉन्शियस रैप करना होता है, 90, 80 और 100 बीपीएम इज परफेक्ट फॉर देम.
When it comes to bars lyrically, the musical term one bar relates to one line lyrically. Now in hip hop, we have certain terms, like I mentioned before, there are hip hop terms for beat and everything. I think from battle rap, the term bar relates to two rhymes. So one word rhyming with another, so basically that means two lines. But the musical term, when you physically count 16 bars, you're writing 16 lines. So when a rapper or a musician or a producer approaches you and say, I want a 16 bar rap from you, they mean to say, I would like 16 lines of rap. When it comes to music theory, most mainstream music, including pop music and hip hop music, sits at a 4x4 time signature, which means in one bar, there's 4 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just counted 2 bars, 8 beats. And what happens is one bar equals into one line. So when it comes to hip hop, when someone asks for a 16 bar, which is usually the usual standard of a verse in hip hop, they mean to say in musicality it means 16 lines equals 16 bars. Now in hip hop terminology, like battle rap as well, we know bars as one rhyme rhyming with another, which means 2 lines. Now that's hip hop terminology, and sometimes you got to clear that up with your producer or whoever you're collaborating with. But the music form of it is 16 lines, 16 bars.
और अभी मैं आपको कैसे एक लाइन को एक बार पे फिट किया जाता है वो बताऊंगा. दिस इज माय लिरिक्स. जो डरते लड़ने से उनकी मर गई है इच्छा, पाना मुकाम अगर बैठ के न कर प्रतीक्षा, असल है वो जो अंधों में भी बांटे शिक्षा, उसके लिए है ऊपर उसका मान और प्रतिष्ठा. सो नाउ आई विल ब्रेक डाउन इट ओवर द बीट. दिस इज माय बीट 1 2 3 4 और ये 4 लाइनें मेरे को लिखनी है 4 बीट के ऊपर, 1 2 3 4 बीट पे. अब नाउ आई विल ब्रेक इट डाउन अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस बीट. सो लेट्स डू दिस. नाउ आई विल ब्रेक इट डाउन लाइक दिस. जो डरते लड़ने से, उसको मैं एक वर्ड एज्यूम कर लेता हूँ, उनकी, दूसरा वर्ड मर गई है क्योंकि एक साथ बोल रहा हूँ, तीसरा वर्ड इच्छा, 4th वर्ड. सो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड दिस. पहला वर्ड मेरा ये है जो डरते लड़ने से, दूसरा वर्ड मेरा ये है उनकी, 3rd मर गई है, वी विल राइट मर गई है यहाँ पे. इच्छा इज माई 4th वर्ड. यू कैन सी दैट. द सेम विद द सेकेंड लाइन. फर्स्ट लाइन हो गया हमारा, सेकेंड लाइन पाना मुकाम अगर, अगेन आई विल ट्रीट पाना मुकाम अगर एज अ 1 वर्ड. फर्स्ट बीट पे ये ड्रॉप करना है. बैठ के ना कर, बैठ के इज सेकेंड वर्ड, ना कर 3rd वर्ड, प्रतीक्षा इज अ 4th वर्ड. अगेन असल है वो 1 वर्ड ऑन फर्स्ट बीट, जो सेकेंड वर्ड, अंधों में भी 3rd वर्ड, बाटे शिक्षा 4th वर्ड, उसके लिए है ऊपर, 1 वर्ड, उसका 2nd वर्ड, 3rd मान और प्रतिष्ठा 4th. नाउ इफ आई विल फ्लो दिस ऑन बीट 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. जो डरते लड़ने से उनकी मर गई है इच्छा, पाना मुकाम अगर बैठ के न कर प्रतीक्षा, असल है वो जो अंधों में भी बांटे शिक्षा, उसके लिए है ऊपर उसका मान और प्रतिष्ठा. सो इस फ्लो से बताने का तरीका ये है कि आप एक बीट के ऊपर कितने भी वर्ड्स को एक साथ बोल के जोड़ सकते हैं. तो आपका पहली बीट पे इतना वर्ड, ये हमने एक पूरा एक लाइन एक साथ अज्यूम किया कि एक ही वर्ड है. जो डरते लड़ने से, एंड देन उनकी सेकंड वर्ड अज्यूम किया, थर्ड मतलब सेकंड बीट पे ड्रॉप किया, मर गई है थर्ड बीट पे ड्रॉप किया, और इच्छा फोर्थ बीट पे. दैट्स हाउ यू क्रिएट द ट्रैक. This is the flow. So that's how I make a flow. Ta na na ta na na ta na 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 ta na ta ta. So this is the flow. So according to that flow I wrote this lyrics. But अब मेरे पास 4 बीट है और इतना लंबा लाइन को मेरे को एडजस्ट करना है. Now what you do, आप वो 4 वर्ड को कम कर देते हो, एक ही वर्ड बना देते हो, एक फ्लो बना देते हो उसका, ताकि वो फर्स्ट बीट पे ड्रॉप करे. So now that's how I make my track. That's how I create the flow.
When it comes to counting beats in bars, specifically for certain genres like hip-hop, most genres that are in the mainstream music, including hip-hop and pop, sit on a 4x4 time signature. So we're counting 4 beats in a bar. So how normally drums work on mainstream music and hip-hop specifically, so the kick would normally sit on the first and the third part of the bar, and the snare would sit usually on the second and the fourth part of the bar. So if we would just count how a kick and snare rhythm would sound like on a 4-part beat, it would be kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. So a good example that we can show you right now is Divine's Kohinoor, that how to count the drums of a hip-hop beat in a famous tune. So first we can just count 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you imagine your left leg is the kick and the right leg is the snare. Kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. And obviously certain producers put a kick in different places, double time, da 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 da. You know, so it can vary, but usually the snare in hip hop is on the second and the fourth beat. When it comes to other genres having different drum patterns, dance music and more electronic music set for clubs tend to have a 4x4 drum pattern. So you would have kick, 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 that usual sound, the thumping sound that you get from dance music. When it comes to other hip-hop genres, maybe like trap, which are usually at a faster or a halftime BPM, what happens is you have the kick on the one, which is usually a hip-hop standard, but the snare not on the second, but on the third.
Yeah.
So you would have kick, snare, kick, snare. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the kick starts on the one as usual in hip hop, but the snare moves from the second to the third. So this differentiates how I explained with the one being kick and 2 being snare. Originally, that's the original hip hop standard when it comes to break beats, and that usually lives in old school or boom bap type beats. And also, like I said, any mainstream song will have that type of genre, and we explain that with Kohinoor.